Hello teacher, and this is the greetings of our groups. Our group includes 5 members, and today we'll cover Unit 4 languages in the contemporary world. Okay, so before we begin, now let's look at the presentation outline. We have total 7 subsections, and I'll be the first one to cover the first two for 4.1 language and languages, and number 4.2 attitudes to languages. In chapter 1, we have defined that applying linguistics as investigating problems in the world which language is implicated. And in this chapter, as far as we remember, language is used in a singular form as though as a particular language, although in reality, people speak different particular languages. So, despite the common that we can observe in a lot of languages in the world, each language, particular language, deserves consideration because of their difference. Now, let's say if we read English and we do not know French, however, when it comes to French, to English-speaking people, we still understand, although just a little bit, because of their common properties. However, in general, languages are mutually incomprehensible. It means that people coming from speaking different languages, basically or generally do not understand each other. Now let's imagine that I am Vietnamese and I encounter a foreign English-speaking person. So basically, we do not share common language. So we do not know or understand each other. So in this way, we have 2 ways for each other to understand. Number 1, as we can see on the picture, is that we have to employ the translator. Or number 2, each of us or both of us have to learn each other's languages in order to be understandable to each other. So now let's talk about the attitudes to languages. So to native speaker, they regarded native language as an old property. And you can see that on the screen there are different pieces of news regarding foreigners speaking Vietnamese. And as a Vietnamese, I'm sure that all of you feel very proud that our language is shared and spoken by different people all over the world. However, despite the numbers of learners, let's say number of English language users is rising exponentially all over the world. Native people still regard their language as theirs. So, to the linguist perspective view, they feel that this is an equal or arbitrary system to fulfill the functions of the language. However, speaking from the perspective of the language user, they share different views, attitudes to the language themselves. For more example, you can refer to the textbook to understand, the more different perspective between the language user and the linguist.
So now I would like to present 4.3, the languages, admission, boundaries, and relationships. And in addition to academic linguistics, popular approaches, there are 2 other ways in which languages can be compared, both which are particularly important in the contemporary world. There are the numbers of speakers and biographical distribution. So, smaller languages are frequently adventurous and restricted to particular ethnic group and constrained location. And so, of the estimated 6,000 languages in the world, language that is becoming more common, and half of worst languages are likely to disappear in the 21st century. And strong nations have often used the promotion of single dominant language instead of written form suppressing or regarding minorities' languages as a means of demonstrating their unities. And the outcome of language expansion across national boundaries in those countries has frequently been in multiplication rather than reduction of number of languages spoken there. And for example, Gaelic is now an official language of Costas Parliament. So, since there are significant linguistic grouping in every country, cross-linguistic communication is both an international and an international issue. And this because wishing silence and significant part of their daily experience. For example, for immigrants into Europe, there is wishing between the family language and that of their new home, Turkish and German, or Arabic and French, for example. So now we come to the next part with my friends. Thank you for listening.
So hello everyone, so right now I will continue with the presentation, and my part is about the role of English, and in this part we will understand about, we will focus about the process of understand the language, understand the global dominance of English language. Okay, so right now we will go to the further information into the following, by the following slide. The very first one, because as you know, English is very important, so we should understand the importance of understanding encounter between the languages. Also, because we can see that we can see the changes in some multilingual society in our daily life, and the important thing we should do right now is we should preserve the cultural and linguistic identity. And for the next one, I would like to tell you is about because English has a very long history of the changes, and you can see we have a picture which can demonstrate some information for you for this. And we can see that in the past the role of the English in some societies such as the Roman or the Mongols Empire is very important. And we also had a shift from being one international language of English to the main language in some societies right now. And English also has the global stress of English. You can see that we have a picture here. So the picture can demonstrate some country which have the people who are speaking English as the main language in their daily life. For example, we can see Canada or the United Kingdom or the United States of America and so on. And right now English also has over 400 million first language speakers, and English also is taught as the main foreign language in many countries, including some countries in Asia or even some countries in Africa. And English roles in global access to the information. We can see that nowadays we can read many famous and popular books on the sources on the internet, which include information is written in English. And the next one, because we have the stress of the global stress of English, so nowadays English is the developing day by day. However, we also have some divide on the international languages. For example, we also have the reduced roles of the French or the Russian languages in international development. So right now, nowadays say, for example, another very vital round of English nowadays we can find, so it is in the field of technology and business. So you can see that it's very clearly for you to see the dominance of English on the internet, or the dominance of English in some major fields such as science, technologies, and international business. The pictures we can illustrate for you is some websites such as the Google, Facebook, or YouTube. So all of them they use the language as the main language for the user. And another aspect I would like to mention in this part is teaching language as a foreign language, TEFL. So TEFL's role in the global language business is very clear to see nowadays. And English, in part on the question of political and commerce issues, it's very clear to see, very clear to find out too. However, we can also there are some impacts about the cultural or the linguistic aspect we should consider too. The first one is about some rich of the linguistic and the cultures, homogeneity, the importance of how we should why we should preserve the linguistic diversity. And right now, let's come to the next part in my recitation. The title of this part is about English and Englishes. So it's focused on what it means. It means about the diversity in the global language. It's focused on about the diversity on how different English language is nowadays. Okay, so right now let's explore some variety and the impact of English worldwide. First of all, I would like to tell you something about how the English in global business and media is popular. First of all, we can see that in many fields such as business, film industry, offshore television program, and as well as advertisement, the main language or the most popular language people use is English, and so there is also the relevance on the internet and in the electronic communication. So it has the similarities between them. The next one is about the strength of English learning. The first ones, as I also mentioned for you before, it's about the TEFL and its global roles. Yes. The next one, English, this is very necessary for many non-native speaking countries. So besides the native speaker, so nowadays many countries they also use English just like the second language in daily life, especially in the business or in education. We also see that about the rise of the global language. So because of right now, there is increase of globalization, and because US they are lots of maybe the richest countries in the world, so they have a very maybe big influence on English, right, stress, yes. And the next one is about something we should consider is about the linguistic and the cultural homogeneity concerns about this language. The next one, there's something about the paradox of English roles. The very first information I would like to tell you is about a non-native speaker, outnumbering native speaker, and maybe we should question it. Have some question about what defines an English native speaker. Because right now, nowadays in the world, there are maybe numerous varieties of English. For some, maybe some the native terminologies of different standard Englishes. So we can see that we have American English, or British English, or Australian English. So they are the three most popular, maybe standards or Asians about English. However, contrast these also controversies over new varieties, which is maybe less popular than though I have just mentioned to you. It's maybe about the English in some countries, just like we have Indians English or Nigerians English. Yes. I also would like to give you some information about the career concentric circle of English. So I will describe a little bit about this picture for you. So when you look at maybe the center of the picture, we can see the inner circle. So maybe this will give you some information about the traditional native speaking countries. For example, we have the USA or the UK, yes. So they have a lot of native speakers of English language there. And when we look at a little bit more outside, we can see the outer circle. So they maybe take place the countries where the English serves as the second language. So we can see that maybe some countries such as India or Nigeria. And for the circle, for the expanding circle, we can see some countries speak English as a foreign language, such as China or Russians or Brazil or even Vietnam, our countries. So how about the futures of the international language, English? Yes. The first one, maybe there will be some possibility of the new standards of international English. Yes, there will be some. There will be something new about this. The next one, maybe there will be some potential difference from the native English variety because the language they do not stand still over time. They will change. Yeah. So you can see that we have a very long development story of our language. We are studying English. So right now my partner, she will give you some more information about the next part. So please.
Now I will talk about for my six native English speakers. There are many definitions about native English speaker. One definition is that native speaker is a controversial term for a person who speaks and writes using his or her mother tongue. Another definition is that native English speakers are those who grow up in the circle, including 5 countries: Britain, America, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. Now we move to 3-4 definition about the English speaker in the book. Firstly, it's a question of personal history. It means people who acquire the language naturally and effortlessly in childhood. Secondly, it's a question of expertise. People who use the language and have insight into what is or is not acceptable. The last one, thirdly, is a question of knowledge and loyalty. People who have knowledge and loyalty in community. It has more languages spoken only in one particular place. In the stream, it is a inner circle, outer circle, and expanding circle. English speakers do not want English is dominant in English culture because of being afraid of losing their value and our language. They have minor differences in accent, phrasing, and grammar. We have native English speaker. It is not proficiency in writing except for speaking. About knowledge and language in Linguistics, not Linguistics. For example, use the rules correctly but cannot explain. Traditional native speakers implies nothing about the size of vocabulary, range of styles, ability to communicate across diverse communities.
This is my turn for point 7, lingua franca. And what does lingua franca mean? So lingua franca is the chosen shared language spoken between individuals with different first languages. It is sometimes called common languages or linked languages. Lingua francas are usually pre-existing languages with a colonial history, such as English or French, which are learned by non-native speakers as a foreign language and then used as a way to communicate with other non-native speakers. It will compare to other language varieties such as regional dialect. Lingua francas are used much further afield from their countries of origin. English as a lingua francas, ELF. The term English as a lingua franca describes the use of English as a shared language for speakers of different native languages. And the use of English as a lingua franca is not new. English has been used as a common language across British colonies since the late 16th century. The widespread use of language across English is largely because of the influence of the British Empire and the impact of the United States in the area of business, technology, culture in the 20th and 21st centuries. EFL is typically considered a tool for communications, and it uses local, national, regional, and international levels. This means a large amount of variations is present within ELF, and there is no standardized versions. There is an ongoing debate as to whether ELF should be considered to a variety of English or not. So, English has been used as a lingua franca in British colonies for years. So this view of the language has created the many varieties of English we know today, such as Indian Englishes and African Englishes. Currently, we are seeing more and more people from the expanding circle countries following the Kuru's 3 concentric circle of English models. These are the countries with no colonial tie to English, such as China, Vietnam, or many European countries, using English as a lingua franca. And these individuals adapt and modify English to suit their needs on a local and global scale, and in the process, paving the way for new varieties of English, such as Vietnam. And there are some features of English and lingua francas. For the past 20 years, linguists have been examining the norms and features of ELF. Although there are much variety in ELF communications, some share features, particularly in terms of word choice, grammars, and pronunciations, often appears according to University of Southampton. Some of these features include, you can see on the screen, there are a lot of features. For example, when using the first person singulars, the people usually drop the S. For example, she run instead of she runs. Or maybe they are using the relative pronouns whose and which interchangeably, etc. Now, the next one is teaching and learning English as a lingua francas. So when teaching English as a second language, it is important to consider the needs of the student. So you may be very surprised to know that speakers of English as a second language are more likely to use English to communicate with other non-native English speakers than with native English speakers. So this means that being understood is more important than sounding like a native English speaker. And it's also very important to raise students' awareness of ELF and expose them to a wide variety of different accents, not just native English speakers' accents. This can be achieved by using real-life teaching materials where English is either being used as a lingua franca or being spoken by a non-native speaker. For example, this could include new report read in English or interview with famous non-native English speaker figures, international newspaper in English. And the last features, the last one about teaching and learning English as lingua francas is different approaches to teaching English did not just occur by in response to changing geopolitical circumstances and social attitudes and values, as well as to shift a fashion in linguistics, which for on its appearance objectively, so word itself subject to social change. Nowadays, there are an ongoing debate on whether or not ELF should be taught within classroom. There are two main ideas. Some theorists suggest that ELF should replace standard English as the default language taught globally, while the others questions how this would be possible, as there is no standardized version of ELF. And finally, some theorists say that ELF is nothing more than a communication tool and cannot be a carrier of cultures and a markers for identity. However, there are others argue that ELF should be viewed just like any other language and is therefore directly linked to cultures and identity. And this is the conclusion I have just mentioned to you, all of you, about lingua francas. Thank you for listening to me.